Welcome on in, everybody, to another Monday Night Buffoon and Boggins. My name is Tanner Dawson of the Whiskey Sports Podcast and the Sports Buffoons. Joined with me every Monday is Mr. Nick Boggins of the Boggins Show.
I thought that 70s porno music that you played was only for a Monday, but then I remember you were playing it the other night when you were coming into the hotel room, so I was getting even more nervous.
Let's just say I had that track on repeat some nights, Look, in case you guys didn't know, Mr. Boggins and I actually got to meet each other in person on Thursday at the NFL draft. He stayed up with us and the other buffoons there. It was a blast. It was a fun time. We got the experience in. Quite not what I expected going in, but it was still a thing where you could say you did it and it's done. So what do you think, Nick?
Yeah, so I found out, I talked to our buddy NFL Outdated, and remember I was like, hey man, he is super close. So I thought like he paid to get down there. So I was just talking to him. No, he said there was a different path to get down there.
There was.
And you could get all the way down to the stage. And I guess we were just too drunk and didn't realize that.
So we found that out Friday because Mike had a buddy that was down there too. And we're like, man, that's like right there next to the fountains in the stage area. Like, okay, what do we do? And so luckily they left me when I hopped on the show to talk with Scott and them. And so I had to go find them. Well, they were already down there. So I had to call them and figure it out. Like, you take that exit where we're at the bathrooms behind the Bud Light bar, and it takes you all the way down. You can get in there and everything. And there's food trucks out there.
Ah, man.
I felt pretty gypped on that one that we didn't, do our research very well. So it was still cool. It was still a blast. I think I'd rather probably stay where we were at Thursday night anyways, because I'm sure down there was going to be a pain to get around anyway. So,
oh yeah, for sure.
We got to see I got to see Tommy Lee on Friday night play in the middle of the fountains. We got up close to the gate there, so that was pretty cool. For the Motley Crue concert there. Fall Out Boy was good Thursday night, so can't hate on it. But guys, did you know there was other sports going on besides the NFL draft on Thursday, Friday, Saturday? Because there was, and we're gonna bring in two guys here. We're gonna talk about at least one, and I can't wait to hear this Boston guy talk. So we'll get him in. Let's first bring in our every Monday guest here, Mr. Jim Behringer at Jim Behringer on Twitter, guys. What's up, Jim?
What's going on, boys?
Man, I've been waiting for the show because I can't wait to hear just the craziness that went out here. Let's bring in our guy that Nick is imitating right now, Mr. Scott Cobe, SJ Cobe 1. What's up, Scott?
The Celtics just lost the Sixers.
No!
Unbelievable.
Oh, God, sorry, I was choking harder than the Boston Bruins.
I'm retiring. I'd be retiring as a Boston fan. What's up, Abdullah?
I don't know if Jim agrees with this, but I knew once they they lost Game 6 that it was. I think it was pretty much over. And then they put Swayman in for Olmark, who was supposedly hurt with an injury. Wasn't good. It was not going to be a good result. So.
Look, Boston, the reason Boston lost is not because they didn't play well. It's because too many defensive lapses in their own zone, being too cute with the puck, and turnovers. Stuff we hadn't seen from that team all year came and bit them in the butt. Now, they were dealing with injuries, granted. But when you're up 3-2 in Game 7 with under a minute, you can't turn the puck over. You can't let them have attack. Puck's got to get out. Same with Game 6. You score a shorthanded goal with 10 minutes. The broadcasters are saying this is a back-breaking goal for the Panthers, and you give the lead away. Now, it was a wild third period in Game 6, but still, you got to be able to be smarter with the puck, and it just wasn't meant to be this year. And look, I'm not going to say I have this confirmed. I'm not going to say anything. But the way Patrice Bergeron left the ice last night tells me he's done playing hockey.
Yes.
That's just what it feels like.
That was the talk up here today, Jim. Through all the talk shows, is Bergeron done? And the conclusion everybody came to based on how they saw last night in his post-game press conference, he's done.
Jim, we sat here 2 weeks ago, and you said pretty much write them in, in Bruins in the Lord Stanley Cup Finals. And here we are. I said, Jim, I says that there's this weird thing that like if you're the best team, you always lose in the first round. You're like, not this team. That's what you told me, Jim. You said not this team. This team's different. What the hell happened? And it is the biggest choke job in hockey history.
I wouldn't say the biggest. It's probably one of the biggest because for those who's not around, I only saw it on videotape. But the high-powered Edmonton Oilers, before they were the high-powered Edmonton Oilers, took on a team called the Los Angeles Kings. There's a game called the Miracle on Manchester. They're up 5-0. Lose that series. That was only game 3. But this is pretty historic because, look, Boston's up 3-1. They were up in game 5. Florida tied it. Marchand has a chance to win it. That was the turning point of the series for Florida. Good teams like Boston, I'll go back to the Devils of 03. They handle their business so you're fresher later on in the playoffs. New Jersey took care of their business against Boston that year. Tampa, they needed some overtime games. That's when they were ready for Ottawa and the Anaheim long series. Good teams have to take care of their business early in the first round. Look what Vegas did with Winnipeg. Now, Winnipeg gave them a fight for a couple of games, but in the end, a good team's supposed to come through. Boston, defensive lapses, turnovers, just burnt this team. And give credit to Florida to go make the goalie change. I didn't think Swayman played particularly bad in Game 7, but I think there were a couple of goals he would want back.
Yeah.
Didn't So I think the thing I heard too this morning was, Boston had opportunities with the free net and they kept playing defense. Like they wouldn't attack for whatever reason. They wouldn't attack. I believe that's what happened too in this game is they stayed defensively, which they hadn't done. I don't feel like all season, right?
No, they're usually a pretty attacking team. Usually attack the puck pretty well. I mean, that's a great shot by Montour, but still, you have to be on him. You know what the extra attacker. Don't look towards the open net. Just get the puck out of the zone. And usually things happen. Hey, give credit to Florida. They played hard. They were a resilient team. I heard this coming into the series too. Florida was the only team to split the season series with Boston. So if you look at the games that they've played, Florida won the edge Florida 6-5. But, I mean, look, Florida played well. Bobrovsky did what he had to do. I'm just, if I go back to it, maybe I start Swayman in Game 5. Maybe I tell Bergeron, I know as much as you want to play, maybe take the night off because the Bruins played well in Florida without those guys. Mm-hmm. And they were in the series and the chemistry was there without Bergeron in the lineup. I know he wants to play. I know he's a competitor. I'm just, where was Brad Marchand? He was non-existent in that series.
Jim, what's more surprising to you? I know you ain't got much time. I know your Devils are up 2-0.
Going into the third. So, we got limited time. So
going to the third. But so bigger surprise here that the Panthers pulling off the upset are the Kraken, baby, beating the defending champs.
First time ever, too, right? Like, is there ever playoff series?
Yeah, their first playoff win. It was a historic Sunday because you had the President's Trophy team going out. You had this defending Stanley Cup champions going out on the same night. Seattle, give credit to Seattle. Let's be honest here. Mm-hmm. Rolled 4 lines, played physical hockey, wore down the Avalanche. Philip Grubauer stole, I want to say, 3 games in that series. Maybe he stole all 4 wins, but he played well against his former team. Colorado, I said it on this show. I've said it multiple places. They had an area to address at the trade deadline. They didn't do it by getting a second-line center. You could clearly see they were missing Gabriel Landeskog, Nazem, whoever you want to put in that position. That will be questioned in the offseason. Why didn't you go make a move to get your depth scoring better? Because Seattle had 15 goals in the series, 15 different goal scorers. You had Colorado with McKinnon and Rantanen. They can only do so much. They only got 5 goals from the other players on the team. Last year, they rolled their depth. It's a completely different team than it was last year. So it's hard to repeat. Seattle scored the goal of every game in that series. Give credit to Dave Haxtell because Seattle last year was atrocious defensively, offensively, and they got it together this year.
And here's the thing in the playoffs: if you allow an so-called underdog life and you allow them to gain confidence, it will bite you in the end. And sure enough, with the Bruins and the Avalanche, they gave these teams life, and it bit them in Game 7. They both lost, and they're home now. So.
Yeah, I mean, Colorado trailed in all the games that year. I thought going back to Colorado after they won 4-1, I'm like, okay, here we go. But then I forgot the light bulb went off in my head, and I'm like, Seattle and Colorado, two of the better road teams in the league. Yep. So it didn't matter. It doesn't matter. Seattle plays so well on the road. So I'm not shocked by the result. But, Colorado worked so hard to win that division. It might have been better off for them not winning the division just because they played so much to get to that spot and they didn't have a lot left in the tank. Again, dealing with injuries, goaltending wasn't there. But look, Boston, you go back to the drawing board because, it doesn't matter if you don't win the ring. Look,
that's right.
Look, you talk about like the weekend too. Toronto getting the monkey off their back. 19 years. You win 3 overtime games on the road. That's what propels teams to deep playoff runs. John Tavares, it goes off a stick in the net. So what? The Riley shot in Game 3. Kerfoot deflection. The Toronto Maple Leafs are a different team this year. Grittier, hungrier. They're grinding. Look at the final goal. Matthew Nye's on the wall. They just keep cycling the puck. You would not say that about the Toronto Maple Leafs a couple of years ago. They have changed this team around. Kyle Dubas went all in at the deadline. Ryan O'Reilly, a former Bruin, Nolan Acciari, guys that have been there before, understand it. Luke Shen, and they got goaltending from Ilya Samsonov. That was the difference in Game 6.
That was my last question for you, Jim, before we get you out of here and let you watch your game in peace. Is the Lightning dynasty dead now since they've lost to they didn't get out of the first round and lost to the Maple Leafs?
Look, I said this, I think we were previewing it. Tampa's played a lot of hockey. They've played 77 playoff games since 2020. Like, that's almost a full regular season's worth of playoff games. That's a lot of mileage on that body. Maroon's been to 4 straight Stanley Cup finals. Corey Perry's been to 3 straight. Like, the body has to recover. This Lightning team was not the same team. No McDonough. Chernak was hurt. Ruda was gone. Palat's in New Jersey. Like, this was a different Lightning team. But when we talk about dynasties, I'm going to steal this from Dave McCarthy on NHL Network Radio. He made up a great point. We can't think about dynasties as they were in the past in the National Hockey League because it's a salary cap era now. This is a modern-day dynasty, what they did. 2 cups, 3 final appearances, the playoff runs since they've been going since 2015 with that group. It's been unbelievable. I think they have maybe another run, but again, it's the salary cap, who's leaving because they don't have a lot of cap space.
Hey, we appreciate you, Jim, taking time out. I don't got anything else. I'm going to let you watch your game in peace.
Thank you,
Jim. Go Devils for you, brother.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, guys. Of course, always for you on a Monday.
Always appreciate you guys. Go follow Jim Behringer at Jim Behringer on Twitter. You'll find him there probably with the recap of this game coming up. So,
Abdullah, I just want to Abdullah said we're cute. Well, Abdullah, we're all married here, so sorry about your bad luck. I mean, Scott, Boston loses last night. The Celtics lose tonight. I mean, is everybody in Boston on suicide watch right now? Like, do we all need to? Do you guys?
Yeah, you should have seen after the game. There were people just standing there looking around like, what the hell happened tonight? It just was a really bad weekend, for the Bruins and Celtics. I mean, the Bruins, I could see this coming. As soon as Florida get up 1-0 in the game, I said, they're in trouble. They're going to lose. And tonight, Celtics allowed Philly just to hang around. And James Harden had 45 points tonight. I mean, he came to play. So this Embiid, they may push him back for Game 2 now. You might not see him in Game 2 because of the win tonight for them. So
from our In the Hoop too on Saturday or Sunday, we did it this time. You know, you talked about this game too on a betting aspect, and I think I believe you did pick Philly to at least cover and points because it was like plus 10, plus 9.
Yeah,
plus 11.
I took Philly plus 10 today.
Yeah. And
you just looked at Philly without Embiid and you said, okay, they're going to play defense.
Yep.
The guys are going to have to shoot the ball, and Harden's going to have to come and play. Well, Harden came and play. There was no defense, but the Celtics just allowed Philly to get in the paint time and time again and allowed them to score. And that's a problem if you're supposed top 5 defense in the NBA. You're just allowing Philadelphia, who's undermanned tonight, to get into the paint and score the ball. So,
you mentioned sitting at beat at game 2. If I'm the Heat, I'm sitting Jimmy game 2. We snuck in, got game 1, and took care of business. No need to sit him, to play him game 2. Nope. I'm sitting Jimmy. Jimmy will probably want to punch Spoelstra in the face and say he's playing, but you got to protect him here, I feel like, and let him sit game 2, let him get that ankle right, and you try to win game 3.
Yeah, he was limping pretty bad in the fourth quarter. You could see it clearly. So, to me, you've gotten your game in New York. Sit him down. You got other guys who are going to have to step up, namely Bam Adebayo and Lowry. And you just take your chances. I mean, look what Philly did tonight without Embiid. They won a game. So who's to say Miami doesn't go into New York, I think it's tomorrow night, and win that game too. So, at worst, they're going back home 1-1. And then they got arrested Butler. And there's talk today that Jalen Brunson is questionable for tomorrow night's game too. I don't know what happened to him, but he's questionable. That's what I thought I heard. I can't say 100%.
I'll work on
I heard that Brunson was questionable for tomorrow night's game. And if there's no Randall and there's no Brunson, then there's no way I play Butler tomorrow night, because Miami could beat them without those 2 guys.
Yeah, if they don't got Brunson or Randall, I would, that's just a, bunch of reserves playing a bunch of reserves in that game. And the Heat can do it, man. I told you I like the Heat in that series on my show on Wednesday. I said, hey, I like the Heat. You and Johnny were both picking the Knicks, East Coast bias, but I'm riding with the dog, Jimmy. That Heat team. And there's something he says there's no such thing as playoff Jimmy, but by God, we all know there's a such thing as playoff Jimmy.
Playoff Jimmy.
Randall is still questionable with the sprained left ankle, and Brunson has a sore right ankle going into game 2.
So I did hear right. So, if Brunson's limited, I mean, I don't play Butler at all. I just say, look, Jimmy, I know you want to play, but you know what? For the better of this series and the better of the team, you got to sit tonight. And you go and you take your chances. So,
yeah, because you don't have to play again until Saturday.
Right.
So,
yeah,
right. Like that's a almost 6-day rest there.
6 days.
Yeah, might as well do that.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys. I hate how the NBA separates. There's too much time off between the games. That I feel like you need to play every other day or every day, like 2 games at home back to back, and then day break, and then 2. You know what I mean? Like that's just these playoffs go for 2 months. I feel like because of the schedule.
It's stupid the way they do it. I don't ever understand that. Who comes up with this scheduling? In this
TV. I don't know.
Well, they spread it out, and then they get to game 5, and they say, okay, you guys are playing every other day. That's basically what they did in the Golden State Sacramento series. Yeah, they spread it out a little bit, and then once they get to game 5, they said, "Okay, it's every other day now until the series is over." So, same thing with Miami and New York. They're going to go to game 4 or game 5, and then they're going to say, "Okay, you're playing Wednesday, Friday, Sunday," and that's it.
That's what they got. Yeah,
yeah.
And May 8th, May 10th, May 12th, May 15th. So to finish up the series,
it's a detriment to any team that's playing in the playoffs right now. You can't get any rhythm. No. Every other day you get a rhythm. Every 3 or 4 days, you don't get a rhythm. So,
yeah, I just don't understand that. What do you think of this Nuggets Suns series, dude? Because I really do believe that the Suns are playing right now. They just started here, but I just don't feel there's enough depth there in the Suns. Like you said, they had to average like between Booker and Durant 70, and that's if Durant or that's if even Ayton can compete with the boards down low with Joker. Down there. So I just don't feel like there's enough there for Phoenix. Like, sure, you got 2 superpowers right there on your team, but what else do you got? You don't really got a lot much else.
Well, I was telling Scott before we went on air, I said I was dumb. I said I got too hyped up in the media and the stars and let that stray from my basketball knowledge. I said the Nuggets are a deeper, better team. And that's what you got to have in these long playoffs, especially if it goes long. I mean, how much is Durant going to be able to play? How much is Booker? How much is Chris Paul good? Like Durant and Chris Paul especially, they're injury prone, right? They're guys who've been banged up a time or two. Like if one of them two go down, it's over. And you can light it up for the Nuggets. And I think Jokic, I said this before, a lot of pressure is to be on Jokic he has to at least make the Western Conference Finals. And here's another thing I found out today. This is the first time in NBA history every seed is represented in the second round. We have an 8 seed, we have a 7 seed, we have a 6 seed, we have a 5 seed, a 4, 3, 2, and a 1.
That's kind of crazy there.
The one thing about the Nuggets that I can't understand is Murray is underestimated. He never gets talked about, and he just goes out and puts numbers up. So to me, that Denver has the depth advantage. They have I wouldn't say they have experience advantage, but they have a guy in Murray that never gets talked about, just goes out and puts 30 up time and time again in the playoffs. And the Nuggets, who we all were underestimating going in the playoffs, might be the team that comes out of the West this year. It just might happen. But I could see Denver Golden State Western Conference Final.
Right. We got a couple comments here. The Real Fresh channel coming in. I'd be down with
Fresh?
Miami Knicks with the No D series.
Yep.
I'm sure you'd be down with that. We got Mr. Rob Logan of Logan Sports. Sixers, baby. He's all about it. I love it. And then Alan, he just woke up and saw that Harden had 45. Look, man, no Embiid. That's all it takes sometimes.
Hey, I mean, how Alan, have you never watched basketball? One thing James Harden, for all his things, is the man can score. You can say what you want about James Harden. Has he been coming to shape at times? He's been motivated at times, but the one thing the dude can do is put the ball in the hole, and that's the name of the game. He sat back and watched Steph Curry last night. I mean, Steph Curry put an all-time performance on yesterday in Game 7, putting up 50. And we've seen Jimmy put up, 50 and a 45 back-to-back. So he's like, oh, y'all forgot. I still am that dude that can score at times, and I can go get us 45 and lead a team without their best player and steal a game there in Boston.
So real quick here, we just talked about schedules of the playoffs and how there's such a long gap here. This Sixers Boston series has Monday today. Then they play again Wednesday. Then they got Friday, Sunday, the 9th, which would be a Tuesday, the 11th, which is 2 days, 2-3 days after that. And then you got the 14th. Like you're pretty close in between games where both of these teams, whoever comes out of this, could have great momentum going into those conference finals there.
And you want to know how Harden did it? 17 of 30 from the field, 7 of 14 from three-point land. That's how he scored 45. And those shots were contested too. They weren't easy shots in all of them. So Harden, as long as Embiid's out, Harden's going to get between 25 and 35 shots a night for them. So,
oh yeah, definitely. It's pretty crazy there.
And Philly's also tired of hearing the Celtics have their number. They're just tired of it. So they're going to try to do something in this series to rectify that situation.
We're tired of hearing fire the coach. It's game in, game year in, or year in, year out on that stuff. So
yeah.
Anything else, Nick, for the NBA world?
No, that's it, man. We covered it. Smashed
it, man. All right, let's bring the guy in. We got to talk some baseball, guys. Because did you know baseball was going on too during the NFL draft? Because I kind of lost sight there.
Really?
I think so. I think so. Let's bring the guy in who will probably know more than us, at least me. So Jonathan Grishman. Jonathan, what's up, dude?
Hey, how's it going, fellas?
Hey, how was the weekend, man?
Hey, Jonathan is the future first baseman of the Athletic A's, the Oakland Athletics, future Las Vegas Athletics. He may not make it to Vegas because by that time they'll put some money towards the team. But, he could at least go out and win them. They only won 5 games, the worst start in baseball. So, hey, Jonathan, hey, man, I got your back, man. I'll get on the horn to Billy Bean myself, and we'll get you a damn job.
Hey, I'm down. I'm down. I'm in good shape right now. So I mean, I can go. I can still play first base and have a good glove over there and hit a little bit.
You
I'm
can't be
down.
any
Hey,
worse. That's the pitch, right? It can't be any worse.
hey, it's all uphill. It's all uphill from here. So I can. Hey, why not? I can probably do it.
Listen, the
I, I'm.
Oakland A's
I,
won yesterday. Why are we beating on them? They beat the Reds yesterday. Come on.
I can handle being a stopgap first baseman for the rest of the season or for next year too. I can handle that one more time.
There you go. Hey, don't forget to pitch the money to the Buffoon and Bodkins when you make it, baby.
What money? A's don't pay their players money.
If Jonathan signs with the A's, he'll get a contract of $250 a game.
There you go.
A's. That's what it is.
Take what you can get, I guess, right? At this point.
And that would make me top 7 on the team.
Right.
Yes.
At least at this point. All right. Jonathan, how was the weekend, by the way?
Weekend was good. We had we played a 1-day tournament this weekend with my girls, my younger 14U, and they actually got to the championship game for the second consecutive tournament. Just fell a little short. Played a team that's a little bit older than what we were, a little bit more experienced than what we were, but it's a good opportunity, good experience to face them. Win or lose, you got to the big game, got to the championship. I'm extremely proud and very and happy what they were able to do. They battled too. They had to make a comeback in the semis. We threw actually our 12U pitcher. We threw someone who's 2 years younger than everybody, and we threw her just say, hey, let's see what you can do. Threw her in a semifinal game, and that girl she went lights out for us and gave us a chance to win a game, and we did. So a lot of positives I take from this weekend with that group, and the adversity they faced throughout this season. With some players leaving and going to other teams and other organizations, the core group stuck around right now, and they're getting the benefit of everything and of the success. So I'm very proud and very happy what they've been able to accomplish, not just this weekend, but this last month and everything. So, but it was a good weekend. Got a little hardware for the weekend.
Away.
Nice.
Away. Hey, that's good though. That's great progress. Hearing, somebody 2 years younger going out there and taking the chance, just having that confidence to do that too at that age is huge. So that's awesome to hear.
And that's the point. That's, again, as I say to you guys all the time, it's teaching and developing. And if we can get someone who's a little bit younger to gain experience playing up, because that's what we want. I tell parents, I tell the girls as well, we're not trying to stack teams. I don't want to stack teams. I want stacked players that I can move up when they're ready to do so. This is your opportunity. Show me that you can handle something like this, because you may get bumped up here pretty soon. So, I mean, she did. That girl stepped up, and it was lights out, and I mean, was ice water in her veins when it mattered most.
That's amazing. Awesome. Well, hey, let's talk some baseball. Let's talk some Major League here. What's going to happen this past week here? I saw that in your own little conference there in L East, the Dolphins, not the Dolphins. That's Johnny's team.
The Marlins.
Marlins.
The other Miami team that likes to lose.
Hey, Taylor drank too much this weekend, Jonathan. I'm
trying to get it out for a minute. All right. The Marlins snuck up there to tie second place with the Mets. And the Phillies seem to actually 7-3 the last 10, kind of coming alive a little bit. What's going on in that division, Jonathan?
Well, we talked about how competitive the division was going to be. It started out really slow with the Phillies kind of being what they were at the beginning part of the year. The Marlins not really there. I know the Nationals are still the Nationals, but we said this was going to be a very competitive division. Braves and Nets being at the top. Phillies, they're still talented. That's the thing about it, is we know they're very talented. They have underperformed in the first month of the season. But as much talent as they have, that's not a trend that's going to continue. So, the two teams in the top, they, at least in the Braves and Mets wise, they need to separate themselves from the Phillies as much as possible right now, because we know, and we see it last year too, when they get hot, they're dangerous. And that's what we're trying to, as the rest of the teams in the NL East, you're trying to prevent that, that team from getting hot. Because Bryce Harper going to get healthy. He's not going to necessarily be the same Bryce Harper, but Bryce Harper in the lineup is still a dangerous thing to have. And with that team, being with JT Realmuto and Trey Turner, and being one of the best offenses in baseball, you add Harper in there, who will get healthier as the season goes. kind of makes it a little bit scary right there. So we knew this division was going to be talented. We knew it was going to be a very competitive division. It was a matter of time for the other teams, and Marlins are a good team. We've said that. I've said that for the last couple of years. The team was a playoff team just a few years ago. In the COVID year, they made it to the postseason. So it's not like it's a shock that they're a bad team, but they might be a bad team, but there's a lot of talent on that roster that Miami has. So at what point do they figure it out? And at what point do they start playing well? Well, we're starting to see it a little bit right now. That it could be a 4-team race in this division. And as a Braves fan, I don't want that. I want it to be 2 teams, and we separate from the rest of the pack and everything. But as a baseball fan, as a watcher of baseball, this division is good enough to where you can have 4 teams, much like the counterpart, the AL East. You can have 4 teams in that division competing for a title. It very much is the same in the NL East.
We got Bo out here saying it's hot. I'm just waiting for the Mariners to get warm.
Jonathan, what should we expect with Bryce Harper coming back off that Tommy John? Are you surprised they didn't put him in the minors and let him get a few at bats? So they just said, "Hey, he's off the DL," and away we go.
I don't think that was really. I think that was more of Harper's decision not wanting to go down there. If it was up to the team to say, "Hey, you're going to do this," they probably would make him do that. Go get up a few bats. I think that was Harper's decision, and it's more of. And I look at this aspect as a player in the minors. Why would I go put myself at risk knowing that those guys are in minor leagues for a reason? The control's not quite there. So if I'm going to put myself at injury risk, I'd rather not do it in this case of it. Harper's good enough. I think he can, he in his mind, and he's actually done this in the past too, where he doesn't go do rehab assignments, where he just says, "I'll be fine. It'll take me give me 2 weeks of big league at bats. I'll be ready to go." The expectation, I don't know. I don't know I think it's going to take probably about 2 months to really see that Bryce Harper we've known for so long now, just because that arm, that it's going to take time to get that strength back. And that's his lead arm, being a lefty and a right-handed thrower. That's his lead arm. So that's the positive for him, because that power's in that backhand, that top hand. Being the bottom hand, the quickness comes from that bottom hand. So how fast is that bat going to go through the zone? That's going to be the question mark. How quick is it going to get to the point of contact, and how strong at contact is that arm going to handle? That's going to be what's going to build up here, and it's going to be probably 3 months that we can actually see that out of him.
Is it DH strictly for him? I've read that maybe he might play a little first base even.
Yeah, I
think the beginning part. I think at least for the first month they'll DH him.
Yeah.
And they're testing him to see, when can he start really being clear to throw? When can he start doing a lot of, the aspect of fielding, fielding side? That may take time. But I think that's something. Would you rather an athlete like Bryce Harper, or you have the rookie that you've been putting there, or Alec Boehm, who has to play out of position to play, to kind of get in the field? I'd be okay with Bryce Harper at first base, and knowing that, hey, he can throw a little bit, maybe not 100%. But it's the best argument is, how many throws does a first baseman really make a game? You're lucky as a first baseman to actually have to throw the ball once every 4 games. So that's where you kind of hide him a little bit out there and make sure that arm's protected. But yeah, he's going to DH the first month, and probably by June they'll start putting him in the field to at least get some work at first base and kind of utilize him there. And they can put Boehm, who's a much better third baseman, back at his natural spot, and kind of balance the infield out a little bit more from there.
Jonathan, talk about the Yankees. They're starting to so-called bury themselves in this division here. I know they're hurt. I know there's a lot of injuries. Judge is going on the IL because of his hip. But talk about the Yankees and what you're seeing from them right now.
The Yankees are kind of what we thought they were going to be. I mean, like they were a good team, but they still have holes. They have flaws. Like, that roster is not a deep roster. It's not a talented roster. You have top level players, Aaron Judge, Garrett Cole. But after that, Anthony Rizzo's on the back end of his career. Giancarlo Stanton can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
Almost in a way, you kind of see why the Yankees don't like to keep young players around. They trade them to try to get better talent. So their fan base has been like, why are we getting rid of our young players? You're kind of seeing why. they haven't really gotten the players that they need to develop to elevate the team and be able to get younger and get younger and more talented. And that's what they try to do right now. They try to cut costs. They let Matt Carpenter go. Carpenter's playing really well in San Diego right now. But you let these young guys that you have with Cabrera, Volpe, they're there. They're playing well, but not what you need to be, especially how hot the Tampa Bay Rays are playing right now. I mean, again, Blue Jays being a hot team as well. Again, talking about the division itself, this was not the right time. In my aspect, I don't think this was the right time for the Yankees to kind of cut costs, bring younger players, and develop and say, hey, go keep the train moving and be a contender in this division. You picked the wrong time to do that and the wrong players to really do it as well. So you're a flawed roster with a lot of injuries. That doesn't make things better. And at some point, they will get healthier, but how much better will they be? And at what point do they get it figured out and get better? I don't know. I don't really know that right now because, again, yeah, you have the top level players, but the depth is not there. And that's the problem for the Yankees right now.
Jonathan, we're now officially a month season over with, and I don't want to keep us too long because the nursing home is going to shut the lights off on Scott, and he's got to get tucked in. So, in the month so far? Who's the biggest surprise to you? And then on the back end, who's the biggest disappointment?
Biggest surprise, Pittsburgh Pirates. I don't think there's any question about it. The Pittsburgh Pirates have come out of nowhere. We talked when we did the season preview show. We were talking about, is it the Pirates or the Reds are the worst team in the division? And I said at times, I think the Pirates were a better team on paper than what they were probably going to be, just because they have a lot of young talent. Well, that young talent's playing well. Again, is the numbers showing it? I don't think their stats are really showing just how well they are playing. And that's kind of the aspect of why analytics is a factor in today's game, because there's so much more that's being looked at than the basic stats. And that's why they're winning games. That's why they're playing well. But that's the biggest surprise. I mean, nobody expected the Pittsburgh Pirates to be what they are doing right now in the first month of the season, being a first-place team in the division, contending with the Brewers, and absolutely just and leading out with as kind of commented without O'Neal Cruz, who I know O'Neal Cruz was a good player. He was a young, good player. He was not a superstar. He was a budding potential guy that could look into being a superstar, but he wasn't at that level yet. He was a wow factor. Threw the ball 95, 96 from shortstop, can hit a ball 120 miles an hour, but he was a young player with a lot of holes in his game. So losing him did hurt, but at the same time, it's not like if they lose Brian Reynolds, how much that's going to affect the team, or losing Brian Hayes, how much that would affect the team. Cruz hurt, but you can survive without O'Neal Cruz right now. Like once he develops a little bit more, hey, then we can have a different conversation on how that looks. But that's the biggest surprise. I don't think there's any question about it. The Pittsburgh Pirates being what they are. If anybody says that they saw this coming, they're lying.
Yeah, that's for sure.
100,001%. They're plus 48 run differential, and they're 8-2 in their last 10.
That's insane.
Well,
still no double-digit loss.
Didn't they? Well, was it last week or maybe a couple weeks ago? Didn't they sweep the Dodgers? I thought they swept.
Right.
They won 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
The Dodgers won 1.
So I mean, like that, and I said like last week. I think that was last week where I did the show on Tuesdays with Alan. That series with the Dodgers, even though we know the Dodgers are not as good, that was a telling series how they were going to be. So, and taking 2 out of 3 from them, that's huge. That's absolutely huge for the direction the Pirates are coming from. For disappointment, there's a couple of teams I could look at and say that I'm disappointed in. And I feel like they are one of the biggest disappointments in the season. One of them being in the same division as St. Louis Cardinals.
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah! Just because the expectation, again, you have 2 MVP candidates, you have, Cy Young candidates, and Jack Flaherty. I know Wainwright, Flaherty's been injured at times. Wainwright's been injured at times, but you still have so much talent, young talent too, and you're not able to figure it out. And your manager's going to get fired at some point this season or after the season. It's a known fact that's going to happen. To save his job, you got to figure it out, and they haven't really done that. They've just been kind of flat throughout, and it started with the Braves series in St. Louis beginning of the season, where Marmol absolutely torched O'Neal, wrongfully, I think, should have handled it a whole lot differently to make the situation better. He didn't. It's been a dumpster fire in St. Louis right now, and I don't see it getting better. That's one of the disappointments.
Hey, we can't say that though. I mean, it's Jonathan. We say it all the time. They're the fucking Cardinals. They'll probably be below 500 in September, and then win 15 games in a row or some shit.
But to the point this year, the manager, nobody either wants to play for or has faith in them. But you sent Jordan Walker down. He wasn't doing anything wrong, and you sent him down. Okay, that's number one. Number two, to Jonathan's Pittsburgh point, they're playing Tampa Bay starting the series this week, so we'll find out really quick how good the Pirates are. But to the St. Louis point, it's not the same Cardinals team as it has been in the recent past because of the manager. So,
I agree, and I think I said the players don't want to play for Marmol, and the front office doesn't even want him. As a manager of the team, like they're ready to move on. They're just waiting for the owner to say yes. Well, let's go do it now. And I don't think it's a matter of when, not if, Marmol loses his job.
I had this discussion with a Cardinals friend of mine. Why fire Marmol now? Because if the interim does well, which it has, I mean, if you remember, what was it, Mike Schilt a couple years ago, they fired Mike Matheny. Mike Schilt took over that job, and they ended up making a run to the playoffs. So why not just keep Marmol, let him do a shitty year, and then that gives you all the fire, and then you can bring in Molina at the end, which that makes sense to me. My other question here is how much of that pitching staff, Miss Molina, because my guy Willie Contreras is just not quite fitting in there, and is it because like he can't handle that pitching staff the way they're so used to Yachty and the way he called games, which is a Hall of Fame type way, or and now they're going to Wilson Contreras?
No, I agree with that. I think it's a different culture, and you have more veteran. You have the veteran presence of Adam Wainwright in that pitching staff. I showed actually a couple of my kids on the baseball team the video of Wainwright doing his bullpen session on ESPN, and how he talked about the routine of the pitching staff, not just for him, but there's a procedure that has to be done. That it's this way that builds success. It's the Cardinals pitching staff way to do. Contreras, they don't have the success in Chicago the last couple of years, or they didn't have the pitching that actually had that carried the weight that the staff at the Cardinals have with Wainwright, Hall of Fame pitcher, who's learned from Chris Carpenter, potentially Hall of Fame pitcher down the road, maybe Jack Flaherty, who's a young all-star pitcher. Like you have Miles Mikolas, all-star pitcher, Cy Young candidates up and down the staff. They didn't have that in Chicago. Contreras ran the show. Molina and Wainwright ran the show in St. Louis, and they build the culture and procedure that is done with them. Contreras has to be, and that's the hard part for a catcher, is understanding to build yourself the repertoire with the pitching staff and understand, yes, I've done it a certain way, but in this situation, I have to adjust to you guys. I don't think Contreras is really doing that. I think he knows how he handles pitching staffs, and it has been combative at times with the staff and the procedure that the Cardinals have done. And it's kind of it just doesn't look crisp. It doesn't look clean. It doesn't look like what we've seen out of the pitching staff run by Molina. And that's where you're kind of saying it. Can it be fixed? Yes. Contreras is a top 2 catcher in baseball. It's a matter of buying in. He has to buy into the system. You see that like Sean Murphy with the Braves, how the pitching staff and what the success of the Atlanta Braves for the last 5 years has been with the pitching with them. He's bought into making sure that he follows suit of what they do that makes them successful. Contreras has got to do the same thing with St. Louis. To answer to the second question, the first part of the question, as far as why would they move on from Marmol now in the middle of the season versus, I agree. I think they're going to wait till the end of the season because they want to give Molina a fresh start. They don't want to put, because again, that's who's going to be the manager at some point. Why make the decision now? If that happens, the players are absolutely just fed up. And they go to the GM, they go to the owner, says, we're done. That's happened before. I mean, Girardi got fired last year in Philadelphia because the players just had enough. They had enough of of how he runs the ship. It's a sinking ship. save us by doing the right thing and fire him so we can turn the page and move on and get ready for either the rest of the season or for next season. If the players just say, we're done, we're fed up with this, not getting better, fix the sinking ship, they can make that decision now and cut ties with Marmol.
Can we, Nick, can you show your bank statements from the offseason? Make sure you didn't have an undercover guy, Contreras, go into the Cardinals organization. Because I really want to see that. And so, or never mind. Yeah, that's all I'm going to leave it at. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Hey, I'm happy right now. The Cubs are playing good. The Cubs are playing good. I'm not saying we're going to make the playoffs, but we're respectable. More importantly, the Cardinals stink and the White Sox stink, so it doesn't even matter if we stink right now.
I mean, my other theory is that they got the wrong Contreras brothers, so they meant to go after the Braves guy instead of the Milwaukee guy. So.
And don't forget, there was a few years ago when Bobby V was up here with the Red Sox that the players just completely mutinied him out of Boston after 1 year. So that's going to happen with my mall here pretty soon. I think the players will do that. Management and say, get him out of here. We can't play for him anymore. He's got to go.
And the Bobby V, that was never going to work in Boston. Right. I never understood that one. It was never going to work. It was a complete 180 managerial style that they went from, previously to Valentine. So that was a dumpster fire the moment he got hired.
Exactly.
And like I said, the players just they never bought into Valentine, and it was just like, hey, no.
Weren't they coming off the beer and chicken? That was the year after the beer and chicken, right, Scott?
No, that was a couple of years later where he was John Henry's buddy, and they had gotten rid of John. I think it was right after John Farrell had left.
Okay. I thought it was after Terry Francona and the beer and chicken. I was like, well, it was 180 because like. They, they were all getting drunk and eating chicken and then they didn't bring in old crazy Bobby Valentine.
You know what? It could have been before It could have been before Farrell. It could have been the year before Farrell came in. It was one of those two. But Pedroia pulled him aside and just ripped him a new one because he said that's not the way we do it around here. Here's how we do it. He was a buddy of John Henry's. John Henry said, we're hiring him. I don't care who else you got. He's the manager for our team. And then like 2 weeks into it, David Ortiz and Pedroia went to management and said, out. See you later. Done. We don't
2011, guys. 2011.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, so that would have been after Terry Francona.
No. Yeah, Carl Crawford and Terry Francona were the two exiled, the scapegoats essentially on that team.
For the beer.
The beer and chicken and the collapse. Yeah, the collapse when they lost that last game in Baltimore. Then
they hired Bobby Valentine after that. They hired Bobby
Valentine after that, and then Farrell came in. So
they were like, "Oh, if you guys don't like the friendly manager in the way we do things with Francona, and you guys are getting drunk and eating chicken, we'll bring in crazy Bobby Valentine." And then they were like, "Nah, we still don't like that. That's way worse. We promise we won't eat beer and chicken in the clubhouse anymore. Don't get this guy out of here."
The Bo Sox were like, "We hate winning. Let's just give us a new guy."
Yeah. Well, that's what it was. It was you scapegoated Francona, who was one of the best managers the franchise ever had. You brought in this guy who was a complete clown show. It was a complete clown show in Boston. And then the players wanted Farrell, so they went to Farrell. He won the World Series, and then 2 years later after that, he was out too. And now Alex Cora is here, and they're surprised. They beat Toronto tonight, so they're a surprising team right now in the American League at least. So
6-4 last 10. They're still positive in the run differential, dude.
Yeah. Just fans just heard me say all the way drunk and chicken, and then of course they were in.
Well, they're all about
and
bad
video games
down there, so
video games too.
The only hope is Houston Astros out there. So let's see. What did Kale say? Kale said, I want Vera to get a chance to manage. He wasn't the captain for nothing. I like to see the opportunity.
But I love Cora. I think he does a tremendous job with that team. So Cora's going to be here, I think, for as long as he wants. And then once he's ready to give it up, I think.
If they didn't move on from him after the cheating that took place, because it was the Astros, Red Sox, Yankees, all being accused of the electric cheating, sign stealing. Exactly. If they didn't move on from him like the Astros did with Hinch, Cora's not going anywhere anytime soon. It may take a couple, like 2 or 3, probably 3 seasons of losing and being, let's just say, 4th place in the division and being under 500, probably 3 seasons of consistency of that, then they're probably going to start looking to start moving on. But right now, if they didn't move on from him after that scandal,
no,
it ain't happening anytime.
And he's got him playing really good baseball right now, and Alex Verdugo is flourishing under him. So they're not a bad. Their pitching staff's not great. It's kind of decent, but
Scott, you've done a 180 on this team. Earlier this year, you told me they absolutely stink, and the peanut guy and the nacho guy were feeling first and third.
I was waiting for it.
If you look at them,
flipper, you're a flipper, Scott. Flipper all the time.
No, but for this team right now, they're playing better than everybody expected, including me. Now that may change if Sale doesn't get his act together and Kluber doesn't get his act together. That they're going to go right back down in the 5th place again. But for right now, at least they're over 500 and they're playing a good brand of baseball on the offensive side. So,
well, you got at least 10 days, Scott, because Aaron Judge is on the IL for 10 days starting today. So you got 10 days to maybe get a few more wins and, keep that level above the Yankees at least for a little bit.
Hey, I put it better than them finish 4th or 5th. I expect them to finish 4th or 5th in that division. Once the weather gets here and it starts heating up, that division's just going to take off.
Yeah. So before we round up here for the show, let's. I got a question for each of you guys. I want to know your team, and I want to know which former player that you would love to see become a manager of your team at some point. Jonathan, we'll start with you, dude.
Well, Atlanta Braves, my team. I was, for it. Chipper Jones, which he's got in the coaching, he's doing hitting consultant, not official hitting coach position in the Braves, but he has been getting his feet wet in the coaching side. He has hinted in the past that a managerial job could be in his future. It's a matter of when. I think it's potential when Brian Snitker retires, being he's a little bit on the older side as a manager. That could be the future manager of the Atlanta Braves, Chipper Jones. Like I say, he's gotten himself back into the organization. He took a year off last year because of the COVID vaccination requirement that has been lifted. So he's now he's got a hitting consultant. He's working with the Braves hitters. I mean, this team, when he started being a hitting coach for the Braves, that offense, Austin Riley being one of them, Ozzie Albies and Ronald Acuna, they went to another level. Austin being the main beneficiary of Chipper's teaching, he became an all-star, became one of the best third base hitters in the game because of what Chipper has worked with him and taught him. So that's a potential that it could happen probably in the next 5 years. I think Snitker has kind of hinted at times the next 3 to 5 years it could be his retirement time. So Chipper's the guy. Chipper's my all-time favorite player growing up. Love Chipper. Love to see him be the manager of the Braves and be able to get that opportunity.
Awesome. Scott, what do you got?
Mine's the Red Sox. That's my team being up here in Boston. There's 2 guys I would give you. One is Veritek, captain of the team when they started to become successful. Was Mr. Red Sox. Tough, determined, hard-nosed, knew the game of baseball, knew these lineups backwards and forwards. So I would say he's one. And the second guy I would give you is Tim Wakefield. I think that guy was a Red Sox, when they got him from Pittsburgh, his career was floundering, and he became Mr. Red Sox through the early 2000s because of the home run he gave up in New York in 2003 that lost it for them. And then he came back the next year and pitched even better. And he pitched against New York and had a great series against them, ALCS. So I don't know if he wants to be manager or not, but that would be the second guy that I would be looking at is Tim Wakefield.
I was actually expecting you to say Pedroia.
That's kind of what I thought.
I don't think Pedroia wants to do it, so I would leave his name out. I mean, if Pedroia and Ortiz, one of those 2 guys has shown that they would like to do it and get into coaching, then I would say them ahead of Wakefield. But neither one of them has shown an interest Ortiz has been around, but he's never shown an interest in coaching. The other guy I would give you is Pedro Martinez.
I was going to say Pedro, but he loves TV too much.
Yeah, both Ortiz and Pedro, they both love they got that cushy job with TBS. They're happy.
Yeah, they're good.
They do. But every time that you see Pedro in February, he's in Red Sox spring training. He was up in Toronto a couple of weeks ago working with their pitch. So he's all over the place working with pitchers. So I would say probably Varitek would be first, but Wakefield would be close behind him.
All right, Nick, who are you disappointing us with for Chicago Cubs?
So several years ago, I wanted Ryan Sandberg, and then he got a management position. He had two, I think. He did great in the minor leagues with the Cubs when the Cubs were building that core up. And I was like, man, that would be if he could just follow him straight to the majors. Then he got the job in Philly, and that didn't work out well for him. So I'll cross him off the list. We already have David Ross, and I don't really know how I feel about David Rossi as my manager. So I will give you this guy, Mark Pryor. He's a pitching coach of the Dodgers, does a really great job. They're always one of the top best pitching teams in all of baseball. So give me Mark Pryor to come back home to the Cubs and be our manager.
Interesting one. I like that. I was thinking either Kerry Wood or Mark Pryor, thinking about those days for you. So I'm glad you said Mark Pryor there.
Yeah, Mark Pryor's he's already involved. He's done
coaching, right?
Yeah, he's the Dodgers pitching coach.
Yeah, and they do all right. I mean, they've been disappointing that time.
They're just one of the best teams in baseball every year.
It's all right.
The name Nick forgot to mention is Contreras with the Cardinals out because he sunk them like a rock now. So he can come back to Chicago anytime he wants.
We'll build this. Hey, if they do awful for 3 years and he's their starting catcher and they're dead last every year, we'll build him a damn statue. And half of it will say Cubs winning the World Series for the Cubs. The other half are putting the Cardinals in the basement, baby.
You wouldn't want Sosa?
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Hey, I want black Sosa, not white Sosa. And I want non-juiced up, everybody on the juice.
When Sosa comes back as manager, you can have Mark McGwire as a hitting coach, Barry Bonds as the strength and conditioning coach.
We got Big Z, Carlos Zambrano down there too.
Clemens is your pitching coach.
Clemens is pitching coach.
And Pete Rose is putting bets in for you. Don't worry, guys. Taking care of that. So real quick here, Kale says Boggins, y'all need Zambrano back.
Big Z, baby.
Hey, man. So, guys, I will classify my team as the Royals. We are one win above the A's right now, baby. Yeah, we're not last place. Look, mine's to be soon ex-Royal. Will be retired here in about 3 or 4 years. Maybe, I don't know, maybe 5 if he keeps going, if he gets off the Royals. Salvador Perez will be my pick. Because I'm classifying him as an ex-Royal easily after this year. I just don't think they keep him. But I think Perez would be a great one. He's been part of the 2 winning seasons that we've been a part for in Royals, last 30, 40, 60 years. So I'd be excited for him. My other guy, it's a guy back in the 90s I grew up on, Joe Randa, played third base. I thought he was a very smart player back then, even though my young age. I still thought he was very smart. I think he'd be a really interesting hire as a manager. I mean, we can't go any worse. So we might as well try something here. So, but that's mine on that.
No George Brett or Frank White?
No.
Neither one?
No. Leaving them out. George Brett had a stint as a hitting coach, and I'm good. I don't want none of those big guys. I want
Gordon. What about what about what's his name? What's his first name? Gordon.
Alex Gordon.
Yeah, I about said Jeff Gordon. I knew that wasn't right.
Thought about him, but I just don't see him being as interested. He had issues even starting to play or start for the MLB where we had to send him back to the minors at times. So I just don't feel like there's I don't want to say the love of the game. I don't feel like there's that dedication maybe that he could bring to the game either. Because towards the end, he kind of felt like he was checked out, which can you blame him? After, 2 World Series wins, you finally struggled all the way up till then. I can't blame the guy.
I did see a stat here, just made me think of the Royals because Zach Greinke
That'd be a cool one.
Zach
too.
Greinke has struck out 22% of the MLB managers.
I know, how crazy is that? Like, he owns managers at this point in his career. It's stupid. It's stupid. So, by the way, fun fact, guys, before I let you go, my brother is in Denver for the series right now, and he says at the hot dog place in Denver, these are the types of hot dogs they have: rattlesnake, rabbit, rattlesnake and rabbit, wild boar, ostrich, jackalope, and elk.
Ooh, sounds good.
Well, all those we could try. Yeah.
Can you guess which one he ordered?
I'm gonna guess the ostrich.
Rattlesnake.
I'd say elk.
He did the rattlesnake. So
Oh.
we'll find out. He said he's waiting on it now, and I'm curious. That'd be my go-to eat.
I needed those hot dogs at 3 in the freaking morning when we were starving in Kansas City.
The draft.
Waiting on the damn pizza.
That ended up just one box eating. Oh man, Jonathan, what you got coming up this weekend, man?
Oh, a lot of action this weekend. We got four teams playing, 3 softball. One my baseball team's playing this weekend as well. They get to travel a little bit outside of Dallas-Fort Worth. The 3 softball teams are inside Dallas-Fort Worth. I have yet to figure out what my schedule is going to be, who I'm going to be, or where I'm going to be at yet, or maybe I may make an appearance at all 4. I haven't figured that one out yet. This is usually when I have all these teams playing during the season right now, at least for another 3 more weeks. I make an appearance at as many of those games as possible, just to be there and support those teams and those athletes. And then also, I actually have my high school girls. They start their first scrimmage. There's my 16U and 18U scrimmage each other this weekend on Sunday for the first time. So we're ramping them up with high school seasons ending. They start their college showcases next month in June. So we're trying to get them ramped up and ready to go, and get them to understand what the expectation is on how to be approached by colleges. My girls who are my 16U team, they're freshmen and sophomores. So educating them on how to handle this and what to expect and what they need to be able to do to be prepared. That's what we're going over these next few weeks, and as we get into the season for them in the summer. So a lot of traveling for me, a lot of driving. Again, my truck, thank God bless Ford. They make really good trucks to where I can do all these. But I mean,
Nothing trying to get us that sponsorship for Ford, baby.
There you go. Trying to help you guys out. I don't have all of us out on it. Maybe we all get new trucks at some point.
There we go.
But no, I'm gonna be, like I said, I'm gonna be all over the place. I haven't figured out how I'm gonna do it, or when I'm gonna be able to do what I'm doing. But yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm gonna try to get as much rest going in the week as I can. Maybe a round of golf at some point too. I may need to do that. But yeah, all my 10U, 12U, my older 14U, my baseball team in action with my high school girls playing scrimmages on Sunday as well. Hopefully some more hardware coming our way too this weekend.
Oh, that'd be cool. Hey, man, best of luck this weekend. Of course, I can't wait to hear the recap on Monday next week. So appreciate Jonathan hopping on, dude.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, guys.
Hey, best of luck to you, Jonathan.
Hey, Jonathan.
Kick some ass this weekend.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Take care.
All right, guys. Before we wrap up, I want to hear just a quick, your number 1 team that won the draft real quick. Botkins, go.
The Eagles. The Georgia Eagles.
Yeah, right.
The Philadelphia Bulldogs.
That's insane.
One of them.
All right, Scott, what do you got?
I'm going to say Houston, because I think they got their quarterback. I think they got their premium defender, and I think they did some nice picks in the middle round. So I'm going to say Houston won the draft for me.
I got
for the
Seattle.
second, because I got Nick's pick.
I got Seattle, who actually, I watched a video that was posted 10 days ago that Seattle has been the number 1 since 2012 in just draft turnaround and grades. And I think they did it again. I think they went after depth positions they needed to, well balanced overall between defense and offense. I just think that they were like, hey, we lost some guys and we got to get rid of some guys that we got to replace.
The Eagles may have got the best defensive player at number 10 or at number 9.
Oh yeah, easily.
They did.
And then they got Nolan Smith, and then they went out and got the corner from Georgia, and then they said, hell, we'll take even old Georgia Bulldogs and trade for Swift.
Yeah, and get Swift at it. I mean, what else do you need?
I mean, I'm surprised they didn't draft Stetson Bennett. You know what I mean? Like,
I was waiting for it, to be honest with you.
I mean, where is the weakness in the Eagles going into this year? Where is it?
I still think it's the defensive area. There's gonna be young and a little bit of experience. We're gonna have to see exactly what happens. I still think
Corner, maybe secondary.
I was gonna think the linebackers and D line still. I think there's a lot, not a lot to be desired, but I think there's still some question marks of what they do on that line and how it affects. So I just think that defensive side of the ball is still a question mark at this point. So, Bodkins, what you got coming up, dude?
So Thursday we'll have the Bodkins show, and it'll be me and Johnny, and we're working on a guest. I got to work on a guest, and we'll talk a little NBA, little UFC, little power rankings in baseball. So, yeah.
Can we have a moment of silence for the morning that Packers signing Sean Clifford to back up Jordan Love?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't even get on the rant about what the fuck Goody did today and said today. So, Jesus,
he's lost total control of that organization.
Oh yeah,
total control.
What
is he doing?
I hate everything about that man. I mean, why is he the way that he is what I want to ask him. Like, we might as well allude to it in case you haven't missed it. In case you missed it, Goody come out today and said, we don't know if we're going to pick up the 5th-year option on Jordan Love. What the fuck you mean you don't fucking know? What do you mean you don't know? The whole point of trading Aaron freaking Rodgers, a Hall of Fame quarterback, is because you, Guti, believed in Jordan Love. You believed in him. Not me, not Matt LaFleur, not the players in the field. You believed him. And then you're going to come out and say, it's a lot of money for a guy who's never played before.
Wait a minute.
What did you think was going to happen? Did you just forget, oh, shit, this guy, we got a 5th-year option? Like, what was the point? You're the one that pushed Aaron out, and then you're like, nah, Jordan, you know what? Never seen the guy play. You sat watching for 3 years in practice. You're the one that said he's ready to go. And now you're like, man, I don't know if we should.
So what's his 5th-year option worth? Like $12 million, maybe $13 million, whatever it is. Do you want to pay $45 million like the Giants paid Daniel Jones a year? I'd rather pay $13 million for this guy.
Yeah, I would pick up his 5th-year option and see what the fuck happens.
But the head coach said $7 million that we're working on the 5th-year option with Jordan Love. LaFleur said we're working on it.
Goody said that's we don't know if we are. We don't know if we're going to pick it up.
So yeah, 20.27.
Yes,
option.
It got to be the dumbest. Like, I don't care. Somebody asked me about the draft. I thought he did decent job in the draft, but
after he fixed himself. So yeah,
Jesus, that you can't come out
2 years without a quarterback.
You can't. You got to be all chips in on Jordan Love. Say it, believe it. Until we see it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Can't come out and say, I don't know.
Kale says, I wish I could see things from his perspective, but I can't get my head that far up my ass.
Exactly, Kale. Exactly.
You got it right, dude.
Exactly.
You got it right.
It's so frustrating.
So bad.
All right. Well, at least that was the rant.
Quick look at the Packers before we sign off. Aaron Jones is going to be out the door after next year. Jordan Love might be out the door after next year. So now AJ Dillon, whoever their quarterback is, and their wide receiver room is not great either. So,
well, I mean, we got Christian Watson, Dobbs. They did draft the Michigan State Reed kid and 2 tight ends. So,
yeah.
Well, the Samari Torrey breakout stat next.
Yeah, Samari Torrey, baby. Maybe there's another St. Brown brother somewhere that we can pick up. Equan Ekimis St. Brown.
I think
actually, Tim, you know who the Packers quarterback in 2 years is going to be? Jared Goff.
Probably. God damn it.
So you signed Quentin Cephas for
we signed Quentin Cephas after his
Dylan, if he stays healthy, Watson's is strong. We will be tanking for Williams this year.
I would rather do that.
Yeah. If I were the Packers, I'd do that too.
They're gonna be on a sale. They'll be selling everything come trade.
Maybe that's why he's saying he doesn't know whether he's picking up the 5th-year option. Because he's already got it in plans, he's tanking it.
Hey, maybe this was if somehow we got Caleb Williams and that was his plan all along, then God damn it, Goody kids, at that point in time, right, can see the future, but I don't think that's what's idiot. Yeah,
Nick will have a picture next to Reggie White's jersey of Gutekunst.
Scott, man, what you get? You got anything coming up this week?
Baseball show tomorrow with Alan and Jonathan. Dan Karubier is in Norway right now, so he will not be part of it.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. Wednesday morning, the Wednesday morning newsletter with me and Alan. And then in the hoop this weekend with Tanner and JG.
That's right.
So there'll be more news coming out.
No B-rated Scott Cope show.
There will be. We just don't know who the guest is. We might just go me and Johnny this week because shout out to Dan Harris. I'd like to get Dan Harris some rest and not have to worry about getting a guest for me.
If you need a guest, let me know.
Yeah, let me know too. I might have.
No Packers talk.
I can't do it on Tuesday. I can't go on Tuesday, but any other day I can. Get into the Scott. I can fit the B-rated Scott Cope show, and I know you need the ratings boost.
Okay.
I got 2 guys too, so just let me know. Guys, we'll have the Buffoon Show Wednesday in the hoop this weekend, like Scott said, on the Buffoons as well. But for my Whiskey Sports podcast, I'm gonna do a show. I think I'm just gonna do a solo show this week. I don't know what I'm gonna talk about fully yet. It'll probably be something about the draft, just my recap, my experience. And I'm also working on a big recap video from all the pictures, the videos. Nick, if you have anything, videos and pictures and stuff that you saw, send it my way, dude.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Put that in there. So we're gonna get some big draft video going to play as well. So I'll be working on that, throughout this week. But it probably won't release till sometime next week. So I'll be doing that. But I do got some content jumping out on Whiskey Sports Podcast. And then I believe we will be doing the collab show on Sunday. It might be us and Johnny and Mr. Ryan Larson. But we will be doing something Sunday, guys. So keep an eye on Let's Talk Sports. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell. If you're on Spotify, if you listen on Spotify, because this is out on Spotify the day after this drops on Monday night, guys. We are live Monday night. It drops on Spotify Tuesday morning. Hit that follow button because we'll have more content coming your way. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate Alan, Kale. I'm going to have to go down the way here. Alan, Kale, Just Fans. Always appreciate you. Rob Logan, Twofull, Bo at Football Talk.
Even that weird person who I don't know if they're trolling us or not.
Flush Channel.
Abdullah.
Yeah, hey, I appreciate everybody commenting in. Everybody have a fabulous week. We'll be talking to you all next Monday. See you guys.